Well, I wanted to ask you how this tour with the Temptations came about. You guys usually tour on your own a lot, but how did this kind of duo concert get going?
Well, it's we've done it before in the past, but then we've never done a solid run. We do 2 or 3 shows and then meet up with them down the road somewhere. Yeah, because they, as well as we, do our own shows lots of times. But they're really good. And see, in the 60s, when the Beach Boys and the Beatles were kings of radio, top 40 radio, Motown was a massive musical force. It was an amazing amount of songs. But, between the Four Tops, the Temptations, the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, and just so many great groups, wonderful songs from the Motown stable, good old Detroit.
Yeah.
So I guess those were the 3 dominant musical genre of the 60s, I think.
Right.
The Beatles, the Beach Boys, and Motown.
So how's that work? Do they play a set and then you guys come out and play a set?
Correct. Yeah. They'll do like 45 minutes to an hour, and then there'll be an intermission. There'll be a changeover, and then we come out and do maybe an hour and a half, something like that.
Well, you don't have the pressure of an entire concert by yourself in this case.
Yeah, that's true. It's gonna almost not a night off, but it's it's a little less than we ordinarily do. When you have 2 acts that have great records like the Temptations and the Beach Boys, what you find is each act is doing almost all hit songs.
Right.
Which is kind of cool. And I think people are going to get more than their money's worth.
So how long is this tour that you're doing with the Temptations?
Oh, it's about 10 days.
Then you kind of go back out on your own?
Yes, and we might meet up with them on a couple of shows here and there. We're doing something for instance, in Detroit and a place in Ohio with the Righteous Brothers. But we're also going to Europe after this run in April. In mid-May, we head out to Europe and we're doing Royal Albert Hall, which is an iconic building in London, and it's already sold out, which is amazing. And Scotland, Ireland, all over the British Isles, and then we go on to the continent. Paris, Brussels, Holland, Germany, Austria, Switzerland. We're even going to Prague, Czechoslovakia, and we end up in Spain and France, and then we come back to the U.S.
You don't have to work as hard as you do, but you seem to never slow down. Yeah,
well, we have breaks here and there, but we did, in 2015, we did 172 performances in about 160, maybe 165 or 6 places. In other words, 2 shows a night in a few places. And last year, 2016, we did around 160 shows. And this year, I think we're on track to do about the same number.
It's been, over 50 years since some of those songs were written. It's like, I know you've probably been asked and thought about this before, but why do you think they still resonate so deeply with people, not just that heard them the first time, but with younger generations 50 years later?
Well, we were a bunch of young guys just living the life in Southern California, loving the beach, loving our cars, experiencing all the trials and tribulations of school. Chuck Berry wrote a song, School Days, and we did one of his records. We re-recorded rock and roll music, which became a big hit for us, and Surfing USA was kind of like Sweet Little 16 and modified, So we just took rock and roll, which we didn't invent, but we made it our own style with our harmonies, our complex harmonies. I say it's the blend of the Everly Brothers combined with the harmonies of the Four Freshmen, and some doo-wop, influence, definitely. So we just put in this song these little vignettes that were going on in our actual lives growing up in Southern California as young guys. So even though we were Southern California based, but those songs resonated all over the world. But when you think about it, who wouldn't want to go on a surfing safari or and Surfing USA is so exciting, it resonated all around the world. And songs like I Get Around and Fun, Fun, Fun and California Girls and Good Vibrations. I mean, a tremendous amount of hit records, really one after another for several years there in the 60s. But our biggest hit turns out to be Kokomo, which was 1988.
Oh, yeah.
Cocktail movie soundtrack. And so that's a huge sing-along in our concerts. That along with Help Me Rhonda and Barbara Ann.
I wanted to ask you briefly about your autobiography, because it just came out late last year, and you waited a long time to write that autobiography. Why did you feel now was the time to write it? Did you feel a need to set the record straight, or to get your own view out there?
Well, it's not about setting the record straight, but what it does is there's been fallacies out there, and there's been people who have written books about the Beach Boys. There's been thousands of millions of words written about us, but not by anybody that was really there, that really lived it, founded the group with his cousins. And so it was my chance to give my story, so it's a kind of a legacy thing for my family, my children, my grandchildren, and anybody who's a true Beach Boy fan that really wants to know where the music came from and how we got to be where we are today, and some of the ups and some of the downs. There've been both, and feeling good and reliving positive memories for the most part. I think that's the Beach Boys legacy, and so I'm proud to have been the co-author of so many of our hits.
I'm picking up